taking pictures and stuff myself. So. You have some cool videos on YouTube out there. I looked at a bunch of them.
We're trying. How about it, y'all? This is Daniel Nicholson.
Matthew Nicholson.
With Nicholson Farms. For those that don't know Matthew, Matthew's my little brother. And today we're not exactly on the farm, but we got a pretty cool video for you today. So y'all stick with us and see what we got going on. So the title wasn't exactly clickbait. We did catch the woods on fire, and that's what we're doing today. Me and Matthew's down here in Edgefield, South Carolina, helping a private landowner do some prescribed burning on his property. Today we're going to be burning 32 acres of longleaf pine and some loblolly pine. Basically, we're just burning the undergrowth. We've already got the fire lit down there. We're going to keep going. Basically, what we're going to do is we're starting from the bottom part of this piece of property and going against the wind, putting lines through the property and setting a fire. And that I'll explain all that here shortly. But we're going to keep running our lines and keep burning. And in this video, we're going to show you the equipment that we use, the safety precautions that we use, and just kind of a couple different techniques of doing some prescribed burns and the benefits of it. So y'all stick with us, and I hope you enjoy the video. So like I said, we're running lanes through this property. That's what Matthew's doing here. He's got a drip torch in hand, and it's just kind of dripping fire with him as long as he goes. He's gonna keep cutting through the woods. I'm gonna light my drip torch back up, and I'm gonna do the same. And we're just gonna be making these lines. And essentially, let's see, the wind's coming out of the northeast. We started the fire the direction that the wind was blowing, and so that's already burnt down there. And now the wind's carrying this fire northeast, and it's gonna run in to where it's already burnt. There's no more fuel, so the fire's just gonna die out, and that's why we're just gonna keep running these lines. So we're gonna take several clips of that, and then we'll catch up with what kind of equipment we use, safety stuff, and then we'll talk about the benefits. So I just set a line going through here, and this is where my previous line was. As you can see, all this is burned out from underneath these pine trees, or longleaf pine. And so by the time this fire gets to right here, there's no fuel left, and it will not push on, and you don't have to worry about it getting out of hand farther on down into the woods. So this little section is burning really good. Like I said, this is longleaf pine, so there's a lot of fuel under there, a lot of shrub, and we're just basically just burning all this out from underneath it so that the trees doesn't have as much competition. We're going to talk about the benefits here in a little while. I'm not going to get too far into it, but basically we're helping these pine trees out, and it's also helping the environment. As you can see behind me, this sand, or this dirt right here, basically what this landowner did before we got here is he goes around the track of land that we're going to be burning. He plows several times. You know, this thing's probably about 12 to 16 foot wide, and some spots even wider. That's what you call a fire break. Your fire's not going to be able to burn on top of that sand. It doesn't have any fuel, so it helps contain the fire. Just another safety measure that you're taking to prevent this fire from getting out of control, versus, you know, the first step of safety we did was going against the wind. So this is another thing that you do to make sure that fire stays contained. We'll go over all the safety equipment here in a little while. But what Matthew's about to do here, he's gonna mix up some fuel. The first couple years we did this, we just tried using diesel. It's just not combustible enough. So now we found the right mixture is about 3/4 diesel and 1/4 of gas, maybe a little bit more gas. You don't want to put too much, just because you know what gas does when you light it. So Matthew's gonna mix that up real quick. We're gonna fill up our torches again, and we'll get moving. I'll talk about the torches real quick. So basically all you have is a stainless steel container with a handle. Then you've got a valve right there to control how much fuel you're dropping. And basically as you go, this thing at the end is kind of a wick, if you will. It's a piece of cloth that you soak it with diesel fuel whenever it drops out. Let's see, I don't have much in here. As you can see, the diesel fuel is dropping out of there onto that cloth. And basically you'll stick that little tip into the fire. It'll stay lit the whole time, and as you're going, it's dropping diesel fuel, and that diesel fuel is staying lit to the ground, and then it's gonna catch the grass or the pine straw or the leaves on fire. So Matthew's got his about full. We'll flip the camera around, I'll show you how he lights it. So to start this thing, all Matthew's gonna do is drip a little fuel onto that tip, and that fire's gonna catch to it. So we're almost done here. Matthew's making the last couple passes now. Just a little corner right here close to his house where he has a little bit of hardwoods that's attached to that little track that we're burning today. But I'm gonna see if I can get Mr. Stan to do a little interview here in a second and talk a little bit about what he's got going on with the NRCS as far as his CSP program, Conservation Service Plan. Basically what he's doing is he's returning this land that he bought into native grasses, native trees, and a lot of neat things like that. So I'll let him talk about that. He's already, I think, agreed to make a little bit of an interview. But everything went good. In the longleaf, we pretty much got about 100% burn on. Some of these hardwood areas, they don't burn quite as well. It's just not enough fuel down in there, and it holds moisture more. But like I said, we got it done. It looks good. Talk a little bit about how this helps out. Mr. Stan might touch on it, but basically by burning all this underbrush, you're eliminating competition for those pine trees that you're trying to grow for market. And also it's really good for all the species of animals that live here. He has about 200 acres here, and we're only burning about 32 acres of it. And so it might push those animals out of that little pocket of land. But come springtime, well, spring here now, or it's about to be, all that underbrush is gonna green back up with some fresh, lush grass, real tender stuff that deer and turkeys and rabbits and all kind of birds really enjoy. And also he'll talk about it, I'm sure, but he plants wiregrass. It's a native grass to South Carolina that's really good for quail habitat. So it really does help out. Yeah, we're creating smoke and putting it into the ozone. Yes, we're running animals out of their natural environment, but in the long run it's going to benefit it tremendously, not only the trees but the wildlife as well. It's just another way that you can help preserve our natural resources, preserve our animals, and just create a better environment for them. And also, here in South Carolina it's not a big deal with wildfires. But farther out west, doing controlled burns actually eliminates a bunch of fuel for that fire to burn. And so going in there manually with your fire brakes and judging the wind right, you can cut down on all that fuel and really help save or help prevent some wildfires. So like I said, in South Carolina, that's not a really huge ordeal, but it does help out. So let's see if we can get Mr. Stan to do a little interview and we still have to go over all the safety equipment that we use. So y'all stick with us, and I hope you're enjoying it, because I'm enjoy burning, and I'm enjoying making this video. I've been looking forward to this video for a couple weeks. So like I said, stick with us. So some of the safety stuff that we're using today, Stan's got this tank with a pump on it, electric pump with a hose that he can shoot up into a tree or whatever anything like that to put out a fire. We got rakes, shovels. We already took them out, but we have several backpack sprayers with water in them. You can control the fire, just another prevention. So I couldn't really get Mr. Stan to commit to an interview, but we rode around and we checked out all the stuff that he's got going on, and he gave me a more in-depth conversation than that we've had in the past several years when I've helped him. I really want to thank Mr. Stan for letting me come down there and help him burn, and also making this video and riding me around his place and kind of showing me what he's got going on. It's a really unique situation what he has. He bought the piece of property about 20 years ago whenever he retired. He worked in Washington, D.C. for years. He moved down here to South Carolina and bought this land. And whenever he actually bought this land, it was actually a working horse farm. And they had everything from pastures to trails to a place where people could camp out for the weekend. It was probably a nice place back in the day. But Mr. Stan has no interest in horses and no interest in hosting people on his property. His main objective is Mother Nature. And he wants to leave that property better whenever he leaves it than whenever he found it. So I mentioned earlier that he has a CSP with the NRCS, or USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service. And basically what that CRP is, or CSP, or what is it? CSP. He is basically restoring his land to pre-European settlement. In the past 20 years, he has gone through all of his woods and all of his fields, and he has tried to get rid of as much invasive species or any species that's not native to South Carolina. He's trying to turn his whole property back into the pre-European settlements when it was just the Native Americans here. And with doing that, he's bringing in a lot of wildlife. It's really helping out with the wildlife, that just all the food that he has on his property and just the natural environment that they were supposed to live in. More and more humans that come into America or are born in America, there's less space for animals, and also there's more competition with invasive species, more competition with people, and just space in general. And he kind of wants to make a sanctuary where animals have a safe place. He's not against hunting, but he will not let anybody hunt on his land, and it's really kind of neat. You can get pretty close to some animals that in other places, as far as a deer, we got really close to some deer the other day, and they didn't really spook too bad. In other places, deer's just gonna haul tail and run. But going back on what he's got going on, so like I said, he's taking out the invasive species, and every time he'll clear cut a piece of land, or even his fields, he's gone through and he's planted back longleaf pine, which is a native tree to South Carolina and most of the southeast. But the loblolly pine, through economical advantages with lumber, has been the go-to tree. So the longleaf pine has kind of gotten cast to the side. And another thing that he plants a lot of is wiregrass. Wiregrass is an excellent plant for birds, especially for quail. Creates a great environment for quail. And he's one of the few, if any, in the country that's going back and planting longleaf and wiregrass at the same exact time. Most people don't do that because of the competition for the trees, but his goal is not economical. It's all for Mother Nature. So it's a really neat situation he's got going on down there. I really appreciate him letting us film this. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a neat opportunity that I've been glad to help him with for the past probably going on 10 years now. I remember when those trees that we burned in this video was planted. So again, thank you, Mr. Stan. I know you're watching my videos. So I really appreciate you letting us do this. It was a really fun video to film. It was a fun video to edit as well. I'm wrapping this video up about 2 days later now. But I've already edited the first half, and it's a pretty cool video, I think. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave us a comment so we can interact with you. And don't forget, if you are new here or if you haven't heard, we're going to do a t-shirt giveaway at 500 subscribers. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, get us to 500, and then we'll be drawing for a t-shirt. So like I said, I really appreciate it, and we hope y'all have a good one.